So, do you remember the last episode of our very first season, Maggie?
Mm-hmm.
And how you got so sick, you lost your voice and sounded like a 12-year-old, we'll say.
I do, yes.
And I remember us having this conversation about never again.
Yeah.
What'd you do, Maggie?
I lost my voice.
For our fans, could you tell them how you lost your voice?
So, in my defense, first season I lost my voice because I was sick. I lost my voice this time because we were at a concert on Friday. And I was yelling pretty much the whole time and having a great time. So then when I woke up on Saturday morning with no voice, well, we're back to square one. We have to have the conversation again.
On the plus side, Friday night, we got to talk with the Kings of Strings, and they're so fun to talk to.
This was the first time we got to travel this season, too, which was really exciting.
I missed it so much.
Yeah, and to be able to be in a space where they're performing, we're getting to talk to a band was so much fun.
I actually think that was a first. We've done a few interviews, but we've never... Oh, that's a lie. That's a lie. It's a second.
Yeah, you just weren't
It's
there.
a first for me to get to be there in person while experiencing the concert. Usually we do a lot of Zoom videos, but I'm sure you guys know Maggie's gotten to do one more than me, and I'm so jealous.
It's okay. You got to be there with me this time.
I was, and it was a blast. Oh my goodness. To see the setup in action, talk to everybody. They were so kind. I swear you guys are going to love listening. And just watching Maggie capture photos was also a whole experience, and interacting with the fans. Oh my goodness. It was a good night.
It was the best night ever. And even though I may have lost my voice just in time for this last episode, we hope you enjoy.
From Mackinac to Motown, from Muskegon to Madonna, you're listening to the Musical Mitten. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Bree, coming to you from Olivet College. This is your guide to all things music, all from the state of Michigan.
So I'm going to have you guys introduce all yourselves.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start with myself. I'm Aaron Weissman. We also have
Jacob St. Pierre.
This is Luke Parada speaking.
And this is Noah Wojcik.
All right.
How did you guys all come together as a band?
Well, I guess I'll start this entourage of a story. Basically, I think I met Luke first our freshman year of high school at Divine Child. I think we were, our gym class?
It was during gym class.
I didn't even know. It was through one of our other friends, and then we were just kind of acquaintances for like a year or so. Then I ended up meeting Jake later that year. We were in a history class together, and oh man, you could vouch that history class was something else.
It wasn't, well, it was, yeah, okay, I'll just say it's something else, because if I say something else and this gets posted somewhere, it's probably not going to. But yeah.
It was a very good class.
Our school hate us.
But I met Luke when I was in 6th grade, and I actually shadowed the school that he was at. So I've known him a little bit longer. Yeah, I think Noah showed up senior year, halfway through.
It was like junior or senior? Yeah, junior year.
I met you guys senior year.
I think I had a class with you before I actually met you, but then we had like one of those classes where like you get put together with people you know and don't know, and then you get to know them better. So all around, Divine Child was like the group place. We would meet at Levigood Park too occasionally, so it'd be a nice little group thing to do for us.
All of our names line up alphabetically too. We're all at the end, which is why we sat together in most of the classes. That's awesome. Which is convenient.
They didn't know what they were signing themselves up for.
That's how Maggie and I became friends.
Yeah.
Just sitting right next to each other.
And now we're
time.
here.
Oh, yeah.
So then, what made you start a band? Like, how did you all learn that you all played instruments?
Okay, so a lot of it's inspired through just like getting together with the boys and playing Guitar Hero and Rock Band. So that kind of inspired a lot of like our musical interests.
He's not lying.
But
that's actually true.
Jake actually played guitar all the way until what? You were 13?
I got it when I was really young, and it just hung on the wall. And then eventually, when I turned 15, my dad had bought me an amp for $100, and I felt like pressure to learn how to do it because he spent money on it for my birthday. And here we are now, like 7 years later. So it worked out.
I also have that same kit that he's got. I think it's the Fender Champion 100, something like that. That kit. Yeah, it's a good starting place to go. But.
And my favorite question to ask bands is, what is the meaning behind your band name, if there's any, or what's the story about how you guys came up with it?
Find one.
We went through so many name changes, like 2016. Like we finally like decided after just hanging out and jamming, like, yeah, we should do something with this. And so then, like, I don't know, we were in Catholic school, so we were like, oh, let's think of like maybe some names to go off of that, like oh, well, instead of angels, we'll be demons or something like that. And so we did cheesy stuff like that.
Till
Then
it
we're just
eventually
walking
came
around in
around.
our park. And then Aaron, didn't you throw the name
I think
out?
it was our previous singer and vocalist, Gio. He came up with the Kings of Strings, and everybody was just kind of like, you know what? That doesn't sound too bad. And then we just, before I was in the band officially, but I joined the band April 2022 earlier this year. So
Aaron's technically the newest.
technically, the youngest, not really, but
Noah had joined before you. So Noah, you want to talk about your?
Oh yeah, I joined the band like better part of 4 years ago in January. Like the previous drummer left the band, and like I've known these guys like throughout high school too, and like I played drums with them too. Like during like I sang on some of their jams and whatnot, so like I was already had that connection there. And then me, Jake, and Aaron had like another group called Dill Funk where we wrote our own individual songs. But some of the songs like we're gonna be performing tonight too for the Kings of Strings. So yeah, like when the opening spot for the drummer popped up, like I know Jake was the first person that called me, and like to my understanding was like the only option at that time.
It was the only option, but even if it wasn't the only option, it still would have been the only option. I know that doesn't make any sense, but just think about it for a second.
we wouldn't be able to move forward for sure.
He was the only choice available, but there also wouldn't have been anybody else even if we had another choice. So
The chemistry wouldn't have been there.
It worked out too well.
Chemistry's a big thing.
100%.
I was probably waiting for about a year to join the group. I was probably waiting about a year for things to fall apart.
And then it happened.
And now we're here.
You guys all started this like when you were in high school. Like, was this always a dream, like to make music?
No.
No, definitely not. As a kid, I wanted to be an engineer, and now I'm here. So, it's not like I'm too far off from it, but it's definitely something that I realized was something that I enjoyed a lot. So, it is very therapeutic, too, because you can just write whatever you want, essentially, in your songs, and I think that's pretty cool. And you can kind of, like, demonstrate that to people and create something really nice. I think that's really why I started doing it over the years. But
Yeah, I wanted to be an orthodontist, but that did not pan out. No, when I say that, I mean like when you're in kindergarten, like you're gonna say something like dentist or doctor or firefighter, astronaut. But then it was because Luke was actually the one who spearheaded starting the group because I was playing music already, but he bought a bass and it was like he was really like gearing towards it. If Luke wasn't there, because at the time, I mean Aaron and Noah weren't there yet. It was me, Luke, and the other two guys.
Yeah.
And Luke was really the one that was like fiending for it to be an actual thing. And then we played the senior lock-in, I think it was 2018.
Yeah, we started playing shows at like our school because they had talent shows and like coffee
so many
houses.
gift cards.
Senior lock-in.
It's so many gift cards.
So then we started playing those, and we're like, okay, like we could play a song through all the way. Like we're not bad at that. And then it eventually evolved to like playing bars and stuff like that. We got.
now we're pushing up to like probably 3 hours a show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've come a long way for sure from 2016. But
Honestly, it all evolved from just listening to a lot of music when we were younger.
local bands too.
Yeah, that
playing
too.
with local bands at like recent gigs and stuff too.
It's the best
It's
part. about it.
it's good exposure for sure. Like ideas and just like popularity. It's a lot of good exposure.
What kinds of music do you guys listen to?
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to call this interview here. I'll see you guys later. No.
Well, this podcast is going to take like 10 hours if we go through each and every one of them.
I would consider it like a classic rock or alternative rock kind of sound. I don't know what you guys think.
It goes from anywhere from like a lot of 60s rock. Like we like the Beatles a whole lot. Like we know they're the grandfathers of a lot of things that were inspired through, even back through the 50s too. But I mean, it goes from anywhere from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even modern hits now too that we like. So I mean, there's good music at every time period. There's good music in every genre. It's just kind of hard to like delve through a lot of like the filler in order to get there.
That's something that happens quite often. We'll hear something and just we'll look off in a direction.
I'm trying to be professional, and I literally just did it. I was like, okay.
We're actually very inspired
It's a nice
by Lit.
feeling.
And then earlier you were talking about how writing was very therapeutic for you. So I was just wondering if you guys have like a way that you like to collaborate together when it comes to making music. Is there someone who tends to write more, or like what's your process, I guess?
I think having that kind of bond, lack of a better word, we were talking about earlier, like everybody being so in tune with each other. We bounce ideas off of each other really well, and we can take criticism really well too. So I think just those components together just really help us all put our ideas into one comprehensive piece that, we're all able to enjoy and like we help other people enjoy tonight. So I think, at least for me, I would say that's the main, factors to that.
A lot of it is jamming first. And then, there's going to be cluttered jams where it's like, okay, this isn't 100% what we want to do here, but, we take ideas back from that by, listening back. We try and record our jams. And then afterwards, kind of piece it together from there, and then the lyrics come later. So that's, usually one of the last things. At least
usually one person does the lyrics per song, but there's been more than a few songs where it's been, a group effort or two
collaborative.
People, and they end up being a lot less... Well, actually, they end up where we don't take it as seriously because there's some lyrics that Noah and I have written for certain songs that are just funny. We think about the lyrics and it's like a joke, but it works in the song and nobody else knows the difference. So.
Well, I guess the key is
inside jokes.
Yeah, because I think you're referring to our song we usually close with WIP, which is a song about apathy, where it's it does sound like nonsense on the surface, but what do you call it? We really meant those things when we wrote it. We weren't just throwing
we were
laughing.
We were laughing writing that though.
Yeah,
we laughed every time we wrote a line down. We're okay, that's going in there for sure. And now it's
arguably one of the best songs.
Great, it's such a great song. Noah and I were, whatever. You just got to run with it. Just gotta fake it.
Do you guys have a favorite song or a song that you like performing the most?
That's a loaded question.
Sorry.
No worries. For me, I would categorize it in two ways. It would be my favorite song to play and my favorite song to perform. And I know that it seems like there's a fine line there, but when I say play, it would just be what do I have the most fun playing as? I'd probably say our self-titled called Dill Funk. That'd be one of my favorites to play. But as far as perform, I'd say Work in Progress. Just having that, call to action, just back and forth between the songs. I think it's a really nice touch to vary our songs and stuff. So
yeah, particularly that song, it's a huge callback to old call and response blues in particular. So that's where some of that 50s and 60s influence comes from, with our more hard rock distorted guitar spin on top of it.
I do if I had to pick one. Because obviously I wouldn't want to have to pick one, but I think I like Soul Food a lot, which is kind of what it sounds like. It's kind of like a soul blues thing, but it's almost got this Rage Against the Machine kind of flair on it. So that one's always been fun. That one's never not fun to play, whether we're practicing or it's live or we were recording it and everything.
I think when we get into songs, just in general, we will just automatically love this. If we notice that it's a really good jam, then we're just gonna get into it. We're gonna be bouncing all over the place, but it's like choosing a favorite child almost.
That's fair. Because you guys put so much work into each of them.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. That is an understatement. Sometimes we've had ups and downs with it. It's obviously all a part of it. Any relationship is. But some of the songs, because we do have some stuff just about ready to come out of the oven, so to speak. I don't want to reveal too much, but let's just say we're pretty close
keep
here. You got to keep your eye on all the socials. Kings of Strings.
It's
putting
happening.
that out there.
Found the opportunity and we took it.
Shameless plug. Check.
This is your Point to the Mitten trivia question of the week.
Last week we asked, Ray Parker Jr. made 2 music videos for one of his songs, one of which is Halloween themed. Which song was it?
If you guessed The Other Woman, you'd be right.
This week's question is a little bit different. Hopefully you've been listening to our show since the beginning, or at least know enough about the show to know the answer. How many times have we traveled for this show? If you think you know the answer, add us on Twitter @TheMusicalMI. And while we won't be back next week with the answer, we will post it on Twitter so that you can see who got it right.
You've been listening to The Musical Mitten. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Bree. If you've been with us since the beginning, you know that we started as a radio show on WOCR 89.1 The One, Olivet College.
Our goal when we started was to share all of the incredible talent from across the state of Michigan, past and present.
Now, we've been able to talk to artists from all over the state and share their stories with you.
If you have any suggestions for who we talk about or to in the future, fill out the form on our website, themusicalmitten.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Do you guys have a favorite place that you like to perform, whether it's a venue?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So there's this place, Michigan Avenue, back in Dearborn, called New Place Lounge. So basically, one of my dad's buddies from high school owns that place, and it's pretty much just a home ground for us. Every time we go over there, because it's a middle of where everybody's from Canton or Plymouth and Livonia and stuff. And so people meet halfway to go there, 20-minute drive. And every time we go over there, it's packed. So I always look forward to going over there. Yeah.
It's always good when we have a venue that we can pack consistently. Every time we've gone to New Place Lounge, we've filled it up. The bar gets business. We have a good audience. Like it's always like a mutual benefit thing.
Oh, Token Lounge is cool too. Got to throw that one out there.
I guess piggybacking off of that, do you guys have a favorite experience that you had while performing?
Yes. I guess it kind of bleeds into your last question as well, but like we had a show over the summer at Lakeside. It was like we got to perform. They closed off a road for us, and we had like boats parked with people just listening to us on the water, and I was like, man, this is so cool.
Best parking.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Best parking.
By far. We had the truck right behind the stage, literally right behind the stage.
Oh my gosh.
We got to see the water. There were people on boats listening. There's people on that was really fun.
Great
Playing in the middle of the street was
really
so
good
cool.
scenery. I love that.
There's a concert venue like that in my hometown where
Yeah.
it's like right on the
That's
river.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Yeah.
I have to catch it this summer.
Does it have a zip code? Because if it does, we will be there.
They do like a summer concert series, and they've pulled in like local bands, so I'm sure that they'd like.
That's exciting. Yeah, sure.
So I'm from Bay City. It's Winona Park. It's an outdoor venue.
Okay. We're gonna have to talk about that later.
A lot of the ones like specifically like within the city limits of Detroit are really fun. Like we did PJ's Lager House last year with our
was a
friends
really
Boys
good
and
one.
Ties who went to our school, and another great local band called Tink and the Lost Boys. And that particular was like a super strong lineup. Like there wasn't necessarily like as many restrictions on like volume and like
We
things
got
like
paid
that
to be
in
us,
certain venues.
essentially, you know. A lot of people, when I shouldn't say a lot, but occasionally we'll have people to, like, they would ask us, you know, like, turn down your sound or play like this, stuff like that. And, you know, you get that to an extent, but you're also hiring someone for their sound. It'd be like hiring Panic at the Disco and be like, all right, you're going to have to whisper the whole concert.
I just saw Panic at the Disco, actually, so that's
I'm telling you.
They're great.
But yeah, we're in a good spot now, though, for sure.
Do you guys have any goals for where you want to go?
I don't know,
Okay.
St. Andrews Hall kind of just rests at the
St.
back
Andrews
of
Hall.
my mind, I should say.
That'd be crazy. Because that's the thing about like some of the stuff that like what Noah was saying about the Detroit bars are really cool is because they always have the architecture is usually really old, but it's always really cool. And the buildings they're not usually the most like structurally sound, but like the amount of character and like how long that stuff's been around and the people that show it's never not been worth it to go to places like that. It's always been the best.
I guess to go off of that, like for Detroit, yeah, play the Fillmore or the Fox. Those are good venues.
That would be something cool.
No, like Tin Roof. There's that next to Comerica Park. That place is a place we really want to get into soon. Yeah, no, it's cool because they got multiple layers there of like floors, so you could be dancing on the second floor, listening to a live set on the first floor. Go to the roof, look on the balcony, look at everything on the top floor. It's a cool place to be.
That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
no, it's a good
It's a
environment.
really cool building.
There's the Detroit venues, and then like the King Strings, like we played in Chicago once, and we played in Toledo once. Like I guess that's another thing. Like we really want to like start visiting other states too, to bring our music too.
Is there anything that we haven't asked yet that you guys wanted to add on?
We got the Kings of Strings on Instagram. We got Kings of Strings on Spotify. We're on Twitter as well.
Music.
Apple Music, also on Angami and Deezer, if you've heard of those. We're also there.
We haven't.
We have not heard of them, but we're there. But other than that, I think that pretty much sums up how we became this collaborative group so far, you know.
We do want to thank the awesome hosts for having us. We do want to add that. That's something we'd like to add. That
Thank you
didn't
for
bring
meeting us halfway in this bowling alley / bar with Go Home with this music playing in the background. That'll be a little nice tidbit in the background for this podcast.
Hopefully, if you check our
That's staying,
YouTube,
right?
if you check our YouTube, we should probably have a video of us playing the show that we're about to play tonight. By the time anybody sees this or hears this, you can't see a podcast.
If you try hard enough, you might be able to.
We're not hot for teachers
videos
playing.
of their podcasts on YouTube, so
Yeah.
yeah. We're not that advanced yet, but we'll get there. We're working on
The
it.
Braille podcast.
And then we always like to open it up and say if you guys have anything you want to ask us, go for it.
It's my favorite part.
Yeah, I like this.
Well, have you ever done a bowling alley interview like this before?
Bowling alley? No.
No.
This is a first.
Yep.
What's the craziest one that you guys have done?
You. This is the one.
Yeah, I missed
here
it.
for. I went into the Arc in Ann Arbor,
Yeah.
and it was during the Verve Pipe sound check.
Okay.
And so I had to get all the band members individually because they all had to test their instruments, and it was like the most chaotic thing I've ever done because I got everybody. It was like separate.
Yeah.
Still like really cool. It was definitely an interesting experience because it was the first time I'd ever traveled. I was traveling without her. And I had to figure out how to get this all set up. I was in contact with like 3 different people, completely unfamiliar with the venue, and then got separated from everybody. Had to take them like one by one or like in twos. And
To be fair, she's notorious for getting lost everywhere. It's not just this place.
Oh,
that's not fair.
You gotta explore the venue.
I did get lost coming here, actually.
And Bronner's or the museum or...
Yeah. I get lost a lot. I made a wrong turn on the way here.
Well, there's so much interesting stuff to look at, though, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
One question I do have is if you guys were to have anybody on your podcast, anybody you can hand pick, who would you have?
That's a good question. Anybody in the world.
I picked Lizzo.
Lizzo.
I got to think about
Because
that.
I only recently, I'm not going to lie, when she first started coming out, I was like, oh, it's too mainstream. It's not really my style. I'm very much a alternative rock kind of person. So I just didn't pay much attention. And then we covered her on one of our episodes, and it was all about women empowerment. So we did 4 Michigan female artists.
Okay.
And I learned so much about her that I was like, holy cow, how have I not been appreciating her more? So I would love to get her on the show.
I see.
That's
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
That's a good one, then.
Thank you.
The interesting thing about me is I've had a lot of people that I was already really excited about on the show. But I think the dream, Madonna.
Oh, that's a good one.
There's a lot
and
of
she's from your
history there to
hometown,
unpack,
so
yeah.
it'd be perfect.
And there's a lot of really interesting history about Madonna going all the way back to the 80s up to now. And because she's from my hometown, I feel like I already know a lot about her.
Fair, yeah.
So I feel like it would be really cool to be able to sit down and be like, hey, we have this really interesting shared common background, and I'd like to sit down and have a conversation about that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be cool.
You guys ask the best questions, by the way. Holy cow. I love this.
Lots of talking. We're pretty good at that. Good at talking.
It's actually our podcast.
The roles have reversed by the end.
This is your podcast now.
All right, thank you guys so much for letting us interview you. That was great.
Thanks for talking with us. Holy cow.
Yeah,
and
we really
right before
appreciate
you go on, thank you.
It's the pep talk before the show.
It really
We're
is.
hyping you up with the hype guys.
Seriously, though.
This has been The Musical Mitten, where we bring you all things music from Michigan. Check out our Instagram and Twitter at TheMusicalMI for any announcements, events, and more.
If you didn't hear us at the beginning of the episode, this is the last episode for this season. However, again, make sure that you are checking in all of the places that Brie mentioned for when we're going to be back. All of our past episodes, radio show, and podcast are on our website at themusicalmitten.com. Again, that's TheMusicalMitten.com. We'll be back next season.